live.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Welcome on back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Conquest. We're back.
Yeah.
A classic style video August tier list. And if you don't know how these work, August, me and August tier list, and then we debate our terrible takes.
Today we're doing none other than the golden boy himself, Superman.
Let's just get into the reveal, August.
Let's get into it. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Hiya! Yep, that makes sense.
Wow, August, no S tier still.
I told you this could be wild. Things.
Okay, do it. My F tier. Whoa! I'm looking at your list a little too much now. Let's get into F tier. I had Superman 1 million. You had him D tier.
Yeah, Superman 1 million.
That is your F tier. This is just a stupid character, a stupid idea. There's probably gonna be some people in the comments like, I love Superman 1 million. What a depressing idea for a character. I get supposed to be hopeful. My favorite Supermans are not godlike Supermans, unless they're evil. I had Lex Luthor Superman. Stupid. I just threw that down there.
I kind of liked. Okay. So you mentioned Lex Luthor, and I'll just kind of, where did I put him? I put him B tier. That's kind of interesting. I put him there because it's kind of interesting. He goes on this kind of character arc where he's like, no, I am Superman, and then everyone's like, you're not Superman. He's like, but I'm trying to be, and everyone's like, yeah, well, you're Lex Luthor. So I thought it was kind of interesting, especially in concept, like what was going on for Lex Luthor there.
I think it's just kind of Lex Luthor though. Like he always tries to be a hero, and then everyone goes, but you're
you, man. What?
But you're Lex Luthor, billionaire, evil. Okay.
I see you got the Eradicator D tier.
Yeah, I do have Eradicator D tier. I don't care about Eradicator at all. He was just to be Superman.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really that often. Like.
That's fair. I have him in C tier for kind of the same reason. He shows up every so often. Sometimes he's kind of cool or like a threat, but he's kind of there.
Chinese Superman, we both have C.
Yeah.
Not a real Kryptonian. Has some cool abilities. Technically, the most powerful Superman. No kryptonite weakness. Madness. Not as strong, but less weaknesses. More practical Superman, I would say. He's a cool character, I guess. He not like super.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, it's interesting. They don't really use him a lot, or they have him show up.
They just started bringing him back.
Yeah, they like, remembered that they had him, and they're like, oh yeah.
And then we'll go to the original Earth 2.
Yeah,
cool concept of a character.
I don't know this character, which is why he's lower, and the other Val-Zod seems to have way more stuff to do, which is why he's
so for me, like, this character feels like they were testing, like, how far can we take what Superman is? And this is a great way of saying, hey, Superman's not just Kal-El. We could send Superman is this idea. It's not of being you as you're born, but of what you can become to be. Even though he's a super-powered alien that is basically godlike powers. It's a cool redefinition of saying, hey, it's just a circumstance. It's not Hank Henshaw, who I had D tier.
Yeah.
Hank Henshaw is the coolest, I think, of the Superman replacement. But as a Superman, he's not that great.
No.
He's kind of a scumbag, to be honest with you, and he's really scary looking. It's a cool design, which I do dig.
I have him in B tier. Yeah, I have him in B tier simply because the fact that people trusted him when he looks like that is insanity. It's insanity that anybody was like, no, yeah, the cyborg skeleton man who says he's Superman. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
So that's why he's B tier, is that everyone got fooled by that shit. That's hilarious.
Okay. Let's go the original Superboy, another Superman replacement after his death.
Yeah. Wait, which one? Wait.
I had him C tier, you had him B tier. The punk Superboy.
Punk Superboy. I think it's a really fun idea of taking the idea of Superman, who's supposed to be so down to earth, very gracious, and then and the story of Superman, he gets his powers over a long period of time, and he learns to kind of be very humbled by it. But like, what happens if you just have a teenager being a dick?
Take away, take away the humbleness.
Yeah, you take away the humbleness, and you have a teenager as Superman. And I feel like this is really fun when you have him just being like kind of arrogant and like a dumbass. And he has redeemed himself, I think, multiple times in the comics in terms of, but he's still got that like edge to him where he's like, no, I'm gonna wear a leather jacket.
Yeah, so the only reason I have him C tier is because now his character, I feel like August just did a great sum up of what his character should be. I feel like he's like, I'm edgy Superman. Like, that's what I feel like now. I don't read a lot of his comics. They don't interest me, but like
Bizarro, B tier.
Bizarro, B tier. Bizarro's just a solid character.
Fun character.
Can't really go wrong with the Bizarro. Yeah, He's just a fun character when he shows up. He was fun with the Outlaw in the reverse trade.
The Dark Trinity, great addition to that.
Flashpoint Superman, it's kind of just there. It's just really sad what happened.
Yeah, I have him B tier because it is kind of sad. Like it's like a great reversal. I think especially in the comic or in the movie, I think it's just really fun where he's scared of his own shadow, and you don't really see that from Superman. So I just think it's a really interesting concept to take that, and like what happens when you deprive him from like all this stuff, and he still kind of is a nice person at the end of the day, dude. Just like from the small amount of kindness he was shown. Steel's
just a solid character.
Solid dude.
He carries the same ideas Superman does when he Superman, and he's his own version of what Superman should be, and
I think it's great that I like the idea of a man being inspired by Superman so much that he uses his brilliance in the field of technology to kind of like Lex Luthor in a way, but like in the right way of where he does it off rip, not to be like considered a hero by the people, but like as Superman does, just to help. I think that was, and also I just like the idea of metal Superman with a hammer who's just like, I'm gonna hit you with this.
It's pretty metal. It's a pretty dope design.
It's literally metal.
It's a dope design.
It's pretty good. Ultraman.
This art that we have for Ultraman, ridiculously hard.
Yeah, that shit goes hard.
Ultraman as a character is like evil Superman, but he's also like not really Superman.
Yeah,
like mob boss more than Superman.
It's the first evil Superman, really. Like before everyone was like, oh, let's do an Omni-Man, let's do a Homelander, let's do all this stuff. Or at least it feels like, I can't verify that. I'm not gonna look up dates.
I can't verify it either, so I'm not gonna make that claim.
But it was the I'm gonna stop making bold claims now. But I was about to be like, it was like the first mainstream evil Superman, which it kind of was because it was in in a movie.
It was animated movie. That was like the first like pushed out of comics for sure. Like evil Superman, I think.
I feel like that was besides Justice Lord Superman. Like this really was like the big like evil guy. So
August, let's talk about President Superman.
Yeah, President Superman. We mentioned Val-Zod a little bit earlier, but President Superman, we got him a little bit higher each time. First of all, I like the suit. I think it's really cool, really interesting with the white motif. I really I dig that.
President Superman is he's almost too good for me. Like he's too perfect. He's a perfect. Yeah, he's like a perfect leader, and then he's a perfect like he's supposed to be a perfect hero because he's Superman.
Yeah.
And he becomes the president of the multiverse, basically leading the Justice League incarnate. That's cool. but it's like almost too good.
Cool, I agree.
You have okay. Let's just go. Whoa, dude, I'm like so thrown off because you have no S tiers and you put John Kent B here. Let's just talk.
Mainline John Kent. He's got great moments, right? I feel like they fucked him up. I feel like having simply because I really enjoyed him being the son of Superman. And I know he still is, right? They still have father-son moments, but having and you don't get this with Superboy because he's genetically trapped in that same age forever, right? That's what they say. That's their cop out there. But having a Superboy learn from his father throughout his life, I think would have been so interesting. It would have been so cool.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, he's 18 now. Fuck you. Yeah. It's like, why are you so scared? Let him and Damian grow up together. That would have been so it's so annoying.
I feel what you're saying. I do hate that he just came back and was like, hey Dad, I'm an adult now. Yeah, I do hate that, and then it makes it awkward as a Super Sons fan. It just makes it awkward for him and Dave talking, and they're kind of fixing that a little.
Yeah. Oh.
Support local comic book shops. The Trinity.
Yeah.
I feel like he's finally coming into his own. They're trying to. I feel like they're still trying to figure out what is the character because we've changed him so much. How do we make him fit into this giant?
Exactly. I think he's a fantastic character. I think he's one of the best child son of characters. I think he was done exceptionally well, especially when he was introduced. But it's just that one thing just throw him into the mantle of Superman without necessarily kind of going through it really kind of detracts from, and it's not his fault. It's not John's fault. It's just I don't know.
The way
they did him dirty.
But as I love some of the moments he has with not super characters, but the Bat family integration he has with Nightwing. I love the relationship that Nightwing specifically in the recent books. Nightwing's just had a run recently.
Oh, they've been killing it.
But some of his own adventures John's adventures when he's not Superman, I really did dig when he went to the Injustice universe and it questions his reality on what he thought his dad was.
Yeah.
Which is a great storyline.
He's got great storylines and great moments.
He's had a rough come up because they kind of just forced character.
Speaking of Injustice,
let's go into Injustice. I was not expecting us both to have a major here, but Injustice Superman. This was evil Superman I saw, and I got Justice. And when I played the game, I had no idea what he was, and I just remember that scene when he kills Shazam.
Oh yeah, that was brutal.
I was like, holy super! This is what you take Superman, you flip him on it. This is what you got. And that was Injustice 2 Superman. That's cool to me. But this first Superman, when he's running the regime, you're like, holy.
Yeah, I remember I would go to GameStop and I'd see the ads for Injustice Gods Among Us and I'd be like, why are Batman and Superman fighting? I don't understand. Because this came out before I was so into checking out trailers and what games were. It was just you pick up a game because it looked cool. But I went over to a friend's house and he had Injustice and we played it and he described it to me. I was like, what the hell? He's like, yeah, Superman's evil and he just kills people if he doesn't like them. I was like, what? That's not Superman. He's like, no, this is. And then I saw the Shazam scene. I was like, what the hell? It's insane. And I just think it's such a really well done kind of the idea that Joker went over to Metropolis just to play on easy mode for a minute and then fucked the world is such an interesting and simple idea, and it translates into this crazy story.
I think it leads me to Kingdom Come Superman.
Yeah.
Because it's Injustice Superman is what if Superman loses everything and this is what he becomes. Kingdom Come Superman is, okay, what happens? And granted, Kingdom Come Superman was before Injustice Superman. So Injustice Superman is really what if Kingdom Come Superman went crazy. But Kingdom Come Superman is, okay, I lost everything. How do I come back from that?
Yeah.
What is our next step? How do I enter into who I am after losing myself for so long? Which I really dig. I dig that whole Kingdom Come world, honestly.
Yeah.
And to have Alex Ross art on every single page of that book is just insane.
That's insanity. Every time I see a page of Kingdom Come, I'm like, how long did this take, Alex? And where like, how big? I need to do research into like what, like, because he's just got to have these massive pages. I
have no idea.
This is the Kingdom Come closet where I just have every page. Like, oh, okay, Alex, sure, why not?
Okay, Alex, bro.
He's like, yeah, let me just render perfect chrome right now and paint. Let me just whip that out. Oh, okay, Alex. Alex Ross is a god. It doesn't make sense.
Let's get to Red Sun Superman.
Red Sun Superman. Yeah. So I guess evil Supermans, they got a interesting place. We've seen a lot of them pop up, and I think people are getting sick of them. But again, this is one of not one of the first, but another like big, like, this is evil Superman. I like the idea of what if the Earth had rotated just a little bit more, right? Like, what if he didn't land in Kansas? What would happen? And it's interesting to see that bits of Superman remain within this character, but it's still like distorted by.
Yeah, I was about to say. What I like about this version, and I have them below, but what I like about what they did with Red Sun Superman is that he's not just evil Superman. Yeah. He thinks what he is doing is right.
Yeah.
It's what if we took your North Star and we changed it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he still has like a good, like, at his core, you still feel like this.
He's got a good heart. He's like, I've mostly seen the movie. Like, that's where I get a lot of. So I'm sure the comic might be a little different, but there's bits where he's like, oh, you're not helping out the people. I'm just gonna kill you, Stalin. And then he does that, and it's like that's almost along the lines of what normal Superman would do, but then you twisted it with where he grew up. So I just like the idea of how can you twist Superman without just making him like, oh, I'm gonna just murder everyone. Just like he's just misguided or different principles. Like that's so interesting when you can take a character and just bend it slightly to get a totally different result.
Agreed. Okay, let's get into the two left. Let's start with Kal-El Superman. You had it B tier, which is probably a hot take considering every character is based off him, but let's get into it.
Kal-El is boring. He bores me. I watched the Superman animated TV show. I watched almost all of Justice League, the animated series. I've watched almost all the Superman movies. I loved my friend's Superman or whatever, but like at the end of the day, Superman, he's inspiring, he can be super cool, but he's not as interesting as so many other characters. I find Batman so fascinating as a man just trying to go beyond and just loses his mind. Like, he's so interesting in that, like, Batman, you're losing your mind, and he learns to love, but like Superman is just, how can I don't know. At one point I was considering doing a video about like how I was wrong about Superman, because I think I've said it before in past videos where I was like, I think Superman is so lame. And I think if this was a while before my friend Superman Kal-El would have been much lower. But I don't know. I find him the basis. I find him like to be the base of superhero characters, which is not a bad thing, and which can merit S tier.
I would argue is true because he is the first.
Yeah, exactly.
Superhero.
And I don't take, and I'm not saying like if we're thinking about it that way, S tier, like because he became the like template, right? But independently compared to the other characters, I find him boring, and that is my argument.
I would have shared a very similar take as you when we were doing these tier lists to begin with, like 3 years ago. 2 years. What I found to love about Superman is the interesting writing challenge that some of these creators to go, okay, how can we humanize this guy that is larger, that he's so powerful? What's the challenge that we could connect him, this character who's so far above everything else? How can we ground him and connect him to normal people?
Yeah.
And there have been some stories I've read that I'm like, wow, that's a super interesting way to ground this character. And I don't love him most of the time, because most of the time it's like, God, Cal is like, I live such a hard life. Oh, I'm such a God. And
it's so hard to love people when you can break their spines with a flip.
Yeah, I'm like, Cal, you're not even a real hero. What you're doing is not brave. You blast through a building and there's people robbing. There's literally no threat to you.
Yeah.
But that's not his challenge as a character. His challenge is, how do I be grounded? And when you look at it like that, I think it becomes a completely different character.
Yeah, I think. Oh, my mom is calling. I can get back to her. Sorry, Mom. This is way more important. I will say, well written Kal-El Superman, great, fantastic. Average. If we're just gonna average Superman Kal-El right now, B tier.
Yeah, it's hard to find. It's not consistent for sure.
No. Some people understand the idea that his flaw his struggle is humanity and dealing with that, and some people are just like, he burst through buildings and laser beams.
The last Superman on the list, guys.
All right, John Kent, deceased.
DC Superman.
So this is where my point comes and shows a perfect, like, this is where they do my problem with the normal Superman, or with the normal John Kent. He grew up, he was there, although he did lose his dad, he still was able to grow up in a normal kind of, definitely not normal, but
yeah, I was about to say,
in a normal timeline with the people he would have, some of the people, a fraction of the people he would have been around when he was. I think it's a better, more complete, especially with the relationship between him and Damian.
It doesn't feel as forced.
It's not as forced. He becomes Superman over time. It's a thing that he. Oh God, Cole's gone. So here, am I moving for you?
Yeah.
Oh, you're moving! You're back! And you're gone. We're just gonna slideshow this. At least Cole can hear us and we can hear him, so this is fun.
What were you saying, August?
Something about how they didn't rush John Kent, Superman, in Deceased. Like, he accepts it properly.
Yes, I'm hoping John Kent Superman is one of my favorite characters because of this book. Not just because his suit is super cool.
It's dope suit.
But he is what he's forced. He's not forced to be, but he becomes what Superman should be in a world where there's literally zero hope. He becomes their hope as a character, and I'm hoping August, that aspects of that character will kind of seep into John Kent Superman as he gets older in the books, where they become the Trinity with
Trinity.
Yeah. With well, not Trinity, but Wonder Woman's daughter.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think I love the relationship between him and Damian the most. I think they have such a brotherly bond. They were there when both of their dads died or were like killed. And
Well, one of them
sacrificed.
gets his dad back.
Okay, yeah, so, like, but for a while, they were both there when they're like, oh, our dads are both dead. My dad got shot in the head by my grandpa, but your dad just sent himself to the sun. I think it's just a really well done version of the character, and like you said, I do hope this version bleeds into future iterations, especially if because eventually John Kent's gonna show up in some live action something. So, yeah,
For sure.
all right. I think that about does it. Interesting takes. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more tier list videos, there's an iCard somewhere or a link in the description. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next Comic Conquest video. Say goodbye, Cole.
Bye.
Perfect.